Please be seated. Yes, well, you can, but you won't. When I was growing up, we had some grapes and but we never grow wild. The grape has no real good fruit. But a good garden, that you've got to trim back those vines to make them work, to bring out the best fruit in them. For the best fruit is produced closest to the vine, not way out on the branch, but closest to the vine. That's where it gets its sweetness. Then on this banner is a symbol of Dame Julian, who, by the way, her feast day is this week, May the 8th. The feast day of Dame Julian of Norwich is celebrated throughout the church. So it gave me pause to look at some of her writings. And let me share something that she had to say. You'll see in this banner, and I'll step aside for just a moment. In this hand, there is a hazelnut. That's what that is. It's a hazelnut. In one of her writings and her showings, and she, by the way, wrote this book of showings and revelation of divine love. It is the earliest surviving book by a woman in the English language. No insignificant writer was she. In this hazelnut, let me just quote. "And this he showed me a little thing," she wrote. "The quantity of a hazelnut lying in the palm of my hand as it seemed, and it was as round as any ball. I looked upon it with an eye of my understanding and thought, what may this be? And it was answered generally thus, it is all that is made. I marveled how it might last, for I thought it might suddenly have fallen to nothing or littleness, and I was answered in my understanding. It lasts and ever shall, for God loves it." And so in this eye of understanding, she goes on to say, "It lasts and ever shall, for God loves it, and so have all things their beginnings by the love of God. And in this little thing I saw three properties. The first is that God made it. The second, that God loves it. And the third, that God keeps it." This by Dame Julian of Norwich in the 14th century. That is a Trinitarian formula. The first is that God made it. The second, that God loves it, as God does love us through Jesus Christ. The third, that God keeps it, has given us an intimacy through the work of the Spirit to abide close to the vine and be nurtured by the love and covenant of God. Certainly, St. Julian's statement that is most well remembered is, "But all will be well, and all will be well, and every kind of thing will be well." That sits well with us in these days and is a great comfort. But Julian understood in her deep understanding, getting close to the vine, that there in this hazelnut, there in this hand, there in this life is everything. God made it. God loves it. And it will last forever. My God. The truth that lives in that is a very powerful truth. This was expressed by Julian quite eloquently, but lived out in the Acts of the Apostles and in the Acts of us. Philip and the Ethiopian. The Apostle Philip, who was traveling about and encountered this Ethiopian eunuch, a member of the royal court, riding by in his Palestinian SUV with chrome wheels and probably tinted windows. Philip saw the Ethiopian saw him, and they had this encounter explaining the scriptures, opening up the scriptures so that the Ethiopian might understand it. And the Ethiopian said, "There's some water. What's to prevent me from being baptized?" And what did Philip do? Took the opportunity. Let's run and get some water and get this thing done. Now, we don't know much else about the Ethiopian at all. But we do know that the Ethiopian, and later in the writings, Cornelius, who was a Roman soldier, also an important figure, were both baptized and brought in from the Gentile world into the Christianity that was forming out of Judaism. The eunuch was the first. Ethiopia, to this day, is a Christian nation. It has a very prominent spot. The Ethiopian church has a very prominent spot very near the sepulcher in Jerusalem because of that. For this was the first Christian nation. Can you tie the Ethiopian eunuch to that? A member of the royal court who went back with some influence? Don't know. But maybe it happened. So there it began, opening up the doors of this love of God known to us through be in love. Be in love with the God who made you. Be in love with the God who cares for you and redeems you. Be in love with the fact that God has given us the Spirit and we'll never die. It's forever. That's good news. Amen.